Studios.
Oh, what a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Power Hour known as Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. We got a lot to get to this hour. We got to talk about the Celtics losing that game last night. I mean, everyone who wasn't either betting on the Hawks or wasn't a Hawks fan thought that the Celtics were going to win the game last night. And boy, were people like me wrong about that. So we got to get into what that means for the Sixers. Plus, the NFL draft is just hours away. The countdown is on to the NFL draft. And of course, you can hear the entire NFL draft pick by pick right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and streaming on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Also, Weinberg Wednesday is back. Dave Weinberg is back this week for a Weinberg Wednesday. We'll get his perspective, his thoughts on the Eagles. And we know Dave is hyper-focused on the Phillies as well. But before we get to all that, we got to get to the NBA playoffs because the Atlanta Hawks literally gave the 76ers a gift last night. They just went out there and took it to the Celtics. And I understand a lot of people are saying, well, Trae Young beat the Celtics. No. The Hawks beat the Celtics because there were a bunch of opportunities the Celtics had to score points, and you got to give the Hawks credit. With no DeJounte Murray, they went out there. John Collins was making threes. Guys were getting rebounds, playing defense. And then Trae Young finished the deal. It was amazing to watch the Celtics choke. They literally fell apart at the end of that game. And last night, the first thing I thought of was, for the people who think that the Celtics are that much better than the Sixers, to me, last night proves that they're not. There is no way, after watching that game last night, could you think that the Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference. And I know some of you are saying, Josh, it's only one game. Relax. But it wasn't just one game. With 6:10 left in the fourth quarter, they had a 13-point lead. And the rest of that quarter, Jaylen Brown didn't score any twos or threes. Tatum, no twos or threes. In fact, the rest of the Celtics points were by Derek White and Robert Williams. And the Celtics let the Hawks come back in that game. You know, I just watched 4 games of the Nets literally trying to physically shove around the 76ers. And last night, it was like the Celtics had the opposite strategy. It's like they went out there and said, it doesn't matter if we lose this game. And it's an attitude and a mentality like that that makes them an opportunity for the 76ers. Look, I don't know if Udoka really is that much of a difference between the team last year and this year. But as I told Mike Giller earlier on the Sports Bash show on 97.3 ESPN, I told Mike, I said, Mike, I don't think that the Celtics of last year would have let that game happen last night. And Mike and I don't agree on a lot of things, but Mike said, you know what, Josh, I think you might be onto something there. And maybe this is a case where this is just not as good of a Celtics team last year. Maybe there's a possibility that for Tatum and Brown and Horford and Williams and White and all these other players, that maybe last year they caught lightning in the bottle and they're just not as good of a team in the 16-gamer this year. Because remember, the Celtics started floundering for the last couple months of the season. They were off to a blazing start at the beginning of the year. But as we know, it's not how you start the year, it's how you finish the year that's important. And now the Sixers are the only team in the playoffs that got a sweep. Think about that. The Nuggets didn't do it against the T-Wolves. No, the Sixers did it against the Nets. And the Sixers are benefiting right now because they took care of business. They got the job done. And now they're not going to play a game until Monday. more time for Embiid to rest, more time for everyone to just kind of hit that reset button. And now the Sixers are going to have not one, but 2 playoff series where they had an extended amount of time to rest, recalibrate, hit that reset button. And boy, let me tell you, maybe things are looking up for the 76ers. Maybe, just maybe, this is exactly what this team needs. Maybe what this really comes down to is for all the people who were wondering, can this team get out of the second round? Maybe this is how it happens. Maybe it starts with things just going your way. Maybe it starts with just, hey, all it takes is one situation lining up for you. Maybe it really is that simple. And that's kind of exciting, is it not? Isn't it a little exciting if I were to tell you that this might be the Sixers' year to finally get out of the second round? Maybe this is the year that Embiid wins the MVP and the Sixers get to the conference finals. Now, I can't promise you going to the NBA finals, but maybe the Celtics team is not as good, to steal the Denny Green phrase. Maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. Because maybe on paper, they have the deepest team in the conference. But as we're seeing with the Bucks and Heat, it doesn't matter how deep you are. What matters is, do you have what it takes to win in a 7-game series? And it really looks like that teams like Atlanta and Miami maybe have a little more desperation, have a little bit more want-to, have a little bit more desire to get the job done than the Bucks and the Celtics. Now, look, do I think the Hawks are going to win the series against the Celtics? No. I think that Atlanta caught the Celtics sleepwalking, and Boston will probably win the next game. Do I think that the Miami Heat are going to finish off the Bucks? No, I think the Bucks extend that series. And I say that in part because of also what other things I saw last night. You know what else I saw last night? I saw the Suns put away the Clippers, a Clippers team that just had nothing left. And I think the Lakers are going to do the same thing potentially tonight. You look at the 4 games going on in the NBA tonight, and you could hear Warriors Kings, which is probably going 7 games. Game 5 tonight. Coverage begins at 9:30 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM. The 4 games tonight may all be seeing another game. All the 3-1s, because all the teams that are down in these series, Knicks are at the Cavs. Lakers are at the Grizz. Heat are at the Bucks. There's a possibility all 3 of those teams win tonight. Right now, there's only 1 game tomorrow in the NBA, and that's Boston and Atlanta. And that's it. Friday, I think you're going to see a bunch of game 6s. I think there's a strong possibility that when we get to the weekend, we're going to be seeing some more basketball. And the Sixers start kicking back, watching the games and saying, you know what? We're at home, recuperating and getting ready for whoever comes next. And I think that is a huge advantage Philadelphia has moving forward. Over on the text board, of course, you can join the conversation. 609-403-0973 is the text board. You can DM the show through 97.3 ESPN, the mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Shaner from EHT chimes in and says, if the Sixers are healthy, I really think we can make it. Please, JoJo, be healthy. We are so lucky to get this rest. But do you think, Josh, they can do it? By the way, how about no Bucks potentially in the second round? That's for Shaner and EHT. It's funny because the Miami Heat are up 3-1. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt that Jimmy Butler and the Heat could upset the Bucks, but it's not in the same vein as when the Warriors upset the Mavs years ago, or when the Nuggets got their huge upset in the 90s as an 8 seed. This is not a normal 8 seed. The play-in tournament created a very strange anomaly because the Lakers as a 7 seed and the Heat as an 8 seed, these are not normal 7-8 seeds. Usually 7-8 seed is a team that's young and gaining experience and made it to the postseason, and they're kind of happy to be there like the Minnesota Timberwolves were this year. Instead, LeBron James, who's in the GOAT conversation, Anthony Davis, one of the best players in the league, and that Lakers team is really good. And they look like that they are basically outworking the Grizzlies on many nights. And the Heat, that is a team full of veterans. Jimmy Butler, we know that when the Miami Heat get hot, they are dangerous. Strus, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo is still a force down in the post and defensively. So you're right, Shaner. There's a possibility that no Milwaukee Bucks if you can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, it's not to say the Miami Heat are going to make it any easier. And frankly, Heat Knicks is what I was saying yesterday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. There's a part of me that hopes that I would love to see Heat and Knicks again. I can hear the Round Ball Rock song in the back of my head. I can just imagine, Pat Riley and Jeff Van Gundy on the sideline, Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing throwing blows at each other. I can see that series in my mind's eye. Tim Hardaway trying to get in a fight with Charlie Ward and John Starks stepping in the way, or later years, Allen Houston and Larry Johnson. It brings back so many memories of 90s basketball. So there is a selfish part of me love to see Knicks Heat in the second round. And then who knows who would be in the conference finals. Dan in EHT chimes in and says, Josh, we are not getting the MVP in this or any postseason. The Sixers will not beat the Celtics, Hawks, Knicks, or Cavs without him. Well, first of all, Dan, I think you're being irrational. All right. To me, it's less about if Embiid is 100% than it is about is Embiid. Can we get Embiid to 80%, 85%? Because at the end of the day, an 85% Embiid is still very difficult for many teams to deal with. And if you've watched this NBA playoffs, if you think the Hawks, this version of the Hawks, are beating this version of the Sixers, I think, Dan and EHC, you and I are watching two completely different basketball games. Because, first of all, there's no Ben Simmons to fail you in a series with the Hawks. PJ Tucker is here. He wasn't here a couple of years ago with the Hawks. Same thing with the Knicks. I think the Knicks, they are a difficult matchup for the Cavs, but I think the Sixers could definitely beat the Knicks as well. The Cavs are probably not beating the Knicks at this point. The Cavs are probably going to be lucky to win the game tonight. I mean, they're down 3-1. Donovan Mitchell is in his teammates' faces. You're hoping Ricky Rubio. I mean, I read an article today saying Ricky Rubio is the stabilizing voice for the Cavs. Stabilizing voice, you're down 3-1. Good job, Ricky Rubio. Like, come on. The Cavs are a mess right now. Look, I understand the Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA this year. So, Danny, if you don't believe that the Sixers can beat the Celtics, I'm fine with that. But, I mean, come on. Hawks, Cavs, Knicks. I think Dan EHT and I have watched two completely different forms of basketball recently, if that's how he feels. All right, coming up next, we'll hit on the Phillies and the Eagles, the NFL draft tomorrow night. You hear it on 97.3 ESPN. It's a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg joins me next. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night, and we'll get to more of your messages a little bit later this hour. I got Matt in Delaware chiming in, and also messages coming in on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle.
Tonight on ESPN Radio. After the Kings win games 1 and 2 at home, the Warriors respond by taking games 3 and 4 in San Francisco.
Bart for the win, missed the shot. Golden State takes game 4.
Now we return to Sacramento for a critical game 5.
We're going home, and we got to take care of business there.
Game 5 of the Kings and Warriors. Coverage begins tonight at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to the NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
Progressive presents Precious Moments.
Hey, Jess, want to come for a ride on my motorcycle? You know, we can talk about our feelings and explore our emotional compatibility.
I thought you'd never ask.
The exchange you just heard didn't actually happen, but it could. Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive, and you could use the savings to make sure the motorcycle is always ready for your dream girl. So keep the dream alive and the savings coming with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, trunk lids, license plate holders, and headlights. They've got lots of headlights. When you need parts, get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. eBay Motors. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Nerds. Here at NerdWallet, we often see people wrestle with financial decisions.
Mike is in the ring, up against his nemesis, Indecision. Mike can't decide the best way to save his money, and Indecision has him boxed in. But wait, Mike tagged in NerdWallet.
Let's go. With NerdWallet side-by-side comparisons, you can find a high-yield savings account with interest rates that earn more bang for your buck. So the next time you wrestle with a financial decision, you'll come out on top. NerdWallet, the smartest decision for all your financial decisions.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Shop Spring Black Friday savings at the Home Depot to get your kitchen clicking. With top brand appliances from Frigidaire, like a new refrigerator with sealed crisper drawers to keep your produce fresher longer. Or a dishwasher with its unique blade spray arm for better water coverage that reaches every corner. Plus, with convenient shopping in-store and online at the Home Depot, your innovative new appliances are just a click away, too. Save up to $500 on select Frigidaire kitchen appliances during Spring Black Friday at the Home Depot.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette.
Ever ask yourself why most people come to Bennett Chevrolet? It's simple. Bennett's selling new Chevys at true GM supplier employee prices. You pay what they pay, not a penny more. Plus, you keep all the rebates. Right now, that's up to $8,000. Now, some dealers are trying to do what we do. They may give you a discount, but then they try to keep some or all of the rebates. Nice try, but not really. Bennett gives you both the GM supplier employee price plus all the rebates. Right now, that's up to $8,000. And there's available 0% financing. Zero. Looking for used? Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any piece of you can drag to our lot towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $10,000. And we pay more, a lot more for good trades. And finally, our sales team is fantastic. Really, unlike other dealers, they're paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Come see the difference and find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
You're listening to GameNight. Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget the Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. One call does it all. We need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, the plumbing guy, because Jenkins technicians have got you covered. From new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, gas furnaces, and drain cleaning services. Just call 609-641-6440 and visit them online at jenkinsonSons.com. Well, Dave Weinberg got a week off because it was his birthday last week, and now he is back to join us, talk about a few different things, little Eagles, little Phillies, all that right here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome back this week to your normal spot. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Josh. My first Weinberg Wednesday is a 65-year-old, so I'm happy.
I mean, you gave away your age yourself, so you can't blame me for that.
Yeah, there you go. As my wife always says, it still beats the alternative, so I'll take it.
It does. It does. So, Dave, obviously, as someone who covered the Eagles for over the course of 3 different decades, talk about your perspective on the Eagles heading into the draft tomorrow night, because people call this silly season with all the rumors and craziness that's going around. So, what is your perspective on the Eagles heading into draft night tomorrow?
Yeah, it's always a crazy time, Josh. There's always rumors swirling about, reports who's going to take who's going to move up, who's going to move down, what are the Eagles going to do? And when I was covering them, there wasn't a whole lot of times where they were in the top 10. I mean, the most famous one being the Donovan McNabb and him going number 2 behind Tim Couch. And that of course, that was the year where everybody was clamoring for Ricky Williams and all that stuff. So, it was a crazy time. And it's a little more structured now, I guess. It seems like, Howie and his team have really put together a game plan. They're not divulging it, but I'm pretty confident that they're going to make a good pick no matter what they do. I just have a strange feeling they're going to move up for Jalen Carter, but I could be wrong, as everybody else usually is.
Well, you mentioned the Donovan McNabb draft with Ricky Williams. Well, another Texas running back is being heavily desired by people and rumored about, Bijan Robinson. I mean, Dave, this is a franchise that hasn't drafted a running back in a first round since the 1980s. So could you actually see a scenario where Howie Roseman would actually take a running back?
Yes, I do. And actually, I was kind of hoping they would. From everything I've read and seen, this kid's going to be a special player. And I think they could do a lot worse than getting him in the first round. At number, I guess you just have to sit at 10 and wait for him to drop to you. But I can see it. I mean, I don't think it's likely. I mean, Howie he values the trenches. He values the offensive, the defensive line, and that's where he placed the most stock in. And so I would fully expect him to draft somebody there. But I wouldn't be shocked if they take Bijan Robinson, considering all the hype that's surrounding him.
I mean, look, I've admittedly said, Dave, that I may be completely off on this, but I feel like a lot of this Robinson hype, it's Nicole Lynn getting a favor from the Eagles. Remember, Robinson came in and visited the Eagles before Hurts ever signed his contract.
Right.
And Robinson only had 2 visits with the Eagles and the Bucs. So he's doing the press tour. He's doing all these different things. It just feels like the Eagles basically did them a favor. Now, they don't think Robinson's a really good player. He is the number 1 running back in the draft, but I just don't see a scenario where if the Eagles had their choice, like you said, between Jalen Carter or Robinson or whoever their number 1 offensive lineman is in Robinson, I just don't see a scenario where they're like, we got to take that running back instead of one of the guys in the trenches because all the fans want us to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Eagles have never, to be fair, they've never been one to cater to what the fans want. The Ricky Williams scene being the perfect example. They're going to stick to their philosophy and their board, and they're going to go with an offensive or defensive line. I'm almost positive of that. Although, I mean, I would be intrigued if they took Bijan Robinson, but I really don't see it happening either.
I asked this question a few days ago, and I want to throw it to you, Dave, because Budda Baker's been making a lot of inferences that he wants the Cardinals not just to trade him, but he wants to be an Eagle. So, would you, Dave Weinberg, be willing to trade the 30th overall pick for Budda Baker?
Depends on what kind of money he's going to want. Honestly, no. I think I would stick to my board and they don't have any draft picks in like the fourth, fifth, and sixth round. So if you're going to trade that 30th pick, I guess if you get Buda Baker and a mid round and a late round pick, maybe I don't know. They need a safety. Now that I'm thinking about it, let's see. They do need a safety in the worst way. Like, what is his contract status? I really haven't looked.
Well, he has no
closely.
guaranteed money. He has no guaranteed money left on his deal, and that's part of the reason why he wants to be traded, because the Cardinals are really apparently not interested in renegotiating his deal. And I guess Buda Baker, because he keeps talking about how much he loves the Eagles culture and Nick Sirianni, you know, maybe he got wind that the Eagles love to renegotiate contracts.
How does he know what the culture's like?
Well, he keeps complimenting it. Like I don't know. Maybe he has a friend on the team that I'm not fully sure of off the top of my head. But I mean,
he's gonna want more than what C.J. Gardner-Johnson got, right? So I don't know that. I think their resources could be better spent elsewhere. Maybe draft a safety and go that way.
It's so weird because, as you said, Dave, we're talking with Dave Weinberg on a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at Dave Weinberg 19 extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. You mentioned they need a safety, so it's like, well, should you draft a safety or get like a more guaranteed piece? I mean, it's not like they have no safeties on the roster now, but it's like, I mean, let's be realistic. You know, no Eagle fan is that excited about Edmonds right now, right? Like, you know, it's
right, true. I still think I'd draft one and then develop him like in the second round, maybe, or even with that 30th pick if there's somebody there they really like. Branch from Alabama, maybe. I don't know.
When you think about,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, when you think about what the Eagles like to do, you know, there's all the reporting out there right now. The Eagles are calling about moving up and moving down.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think is more likely, the up or the down move?
That's a tough one. They like to stockpile draft picks, so probably down, but you know, they're not opposed to moving up if there's a guy in that, you know, 7-8 range that they really, really, really like. You know, like Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. I don't know. They might do it, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I think they're more likely to trade down, but oh god, that's a really tough question, Josh. I don't know what they think of Jalen Carter. I mean, you would think that they've done their homework and they've probably talked to Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, his teammates at Georgia, so they have an idea of what kind of person he is. I would hope they did anyway. So, you know, if they're satisfied that he's the off the field stuff isn't going to be a problem, and you know they will welcome into the culture, the locker room, what have you, then I think they're going to move up and get him. But if not, then definitely move down. I don't know if there's another player that they move up to get.
I mean, to me, I think the Eagles are the perfect destination for Carter because, you know, to me, you got Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham here. Is there two better people for this young man to walk into a locker room and be like, listen, we are going to take you under our wing. We're going to show you how to be a pro. You got your old teammates here. You mentioned Dean and Davis. We got veterans like Lane Johnson, the other side of the ball, Jason Kelsey. I mean, Jalen Hurts, we know, is an impeccable leader. Like, I just feel like the culture in the Eagles locker room is just so in a good place that they can absorb a guy who's maybe a little immature and help him find his way in the NFL. Whereas if you went to a team like, no offense to the Houston Texans or a team like that, he might flounder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's possible. If there's not a strong enough veteran core there, you know, he might fall through the cracks a little bit. And your idea, the Eagles are a good team for that. They do seem to have that veteran core. I mean, I don't know that Fletcher Cox is necessarily a veteran leader you want to count on. He's had some off the field problems. To be polite, but yeah, I mean, basically they have enough guys there that I think they could steer him in the right direction, keep him in line, and like you said, welcome him into the locker room there.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's not Jalen Carter, look, I'm not going to be angry if, for example, you know, let's say the Seahawks take Carter at 5 and you have no chance to get him. Like, you know, it's just how it works sometimes. You know, the draft is a weird thing.
True.
But we'll find out what happens. It's an interesting conversation because, you know, there's a lot of people out there, Dave, who they're looking at Robinson, they're looking at Carter, but they're not realizing there are other good players in this draft as well.
Yeah, you can go down the line. There's probably 20 guys that any team would love to have. And yeah, it's whether they draft, like you said, Carter, or move up to get Carter or Anderson, or stay where they are and take Robinson or one of the offensive linemen that you mentioned. They're gonna, or Van Ness, say, the edge rusher. They're going to be fine no matter who they take, I think.
I mean, I know people don't like to hear this, but my opinion has been consistently they need to go get defense. You don't get the 10th overall pick.
I'm kind of with you there. Like we've talked about before, you need a guy who's going to make an impact right away at 10. You can't take a guy who's going to sit the bench. So if you whether it's a guard or I don't know, the running back is a big. I don't know if 10 is. I mean, I know he's a special player, but is he part of a committee? Is he going to be the main guy?
Right.
I don't know. I think you're going to be much better off with a defensive lineman than an edge rusher or a defensive tackle that you can plug right in and let him go to work.
In your years covering the Eagles, do you have a favorite draft moment or story that you can tell?
Oh gosh. Wow. Danny Watkins was interesting. He there's a lot of talk about his background as a hockey player and
fireman.
how tough he is, and then fireman and all that. Sean Andrews was a different kind of guy. Very funny, but kind of like off the wall a little bit. My favorite one though was, I don't remember, Daniel Teonisham, the late Daniel Teonisham. I think he passed away a couple years ago. Unfortunately, the Eagles made him like a 4th round pick. We had him on a conference call, where you were excited, and he just mentioned something about just laying on his couch and staring at the ceiling. And, it's great to be in the NFL, but he was like really, I mean, way out there. And I remember everybody like laughing when they hung up the phone after talking to him. But yeah, I mean, but by and large, the draft is a really special time for these kids. And, it's their moment in the spotlight, and you want to, do everything you can to make sure that they, they enjoy it, and they relish it, and they remember it.
Yeah, Daniel Teonisham, a 3rd round pick in the 2010 NFL draft, passed away in 2017.
Right. Okay. Man, I didn't know it was that long ago. Wow.
Listen, I thought it was cool you actually brought up a guy that I had to look up. Like I had to go digging for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, that name sounds familiar. Let me look this guy up.
Yeah, defensive end, and went on to play for Tampa, I think.
That is correct. He had 3 years in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 years in Tampa, where he got 4 of his 5 career sacks in Tampa. So,
okay. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Mike Wimbulo pick too. I mean, that was everybody was shocked that he set the combine on fire. He did everything. He knew how to play the game to get ready for the draft. And when they picked him in the 1st round, everybody was just stunned. But they thought he was going to be a superstar, I guess. But needless to say, it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, Moore is the poster child for why you don't get impressed by guys in t-shirts and shorts. But
correct. That's why I've never been a big fan of the combine. I just don't. If you want to find out the fact I can play, then put on his tape.
Right,
and
exactly.
You need to do.
I agree with that 100%. By the way, for those who are wondering, tonight's Phillies game, first pitch will begin at 6:55 due to the weather in Philly tonight. So they're going to try to get that game in tonight. Speaking of the Philly,
they probably have leftover $1 dog night, right?
I think tomorrow is a $1 dog day.
Oh my gosh, correctly. Again? Oh,
well, it's an early game tomorrow because both the Mariners and Phillies are leaving Philadelphia tomorrow night.
Right.
Well, they're trying to get the game in tonight because the Phillies got to fly to Houston and the Mariners got to fly to Toronto.
Oh, okay. I couldn't believe I saw the lines. I mean, there's like 10,000 people in line for a $1 hot dog, for goodness sake. My goodness.
Hey, people are hungry, Dave. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way, the tarp is already being pulled off the field for anybody who's wondering. So that's
nice.
That's a good sign. So the Phillies will get the game in tonight. Speaking of the Phillies, Dave, it looks like Bryce Harper is going to come back a lot sooner than we all thought, and he's going to play first base. How do you feel about that?
Really? I thought he was just going to DH.
He's taking grounders at first base.
So what do? You move Bone back to third and you bench whoever's there now, or?
I mean, I guess Sosa plays less.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I guess. Yeah. I think I'd rather him DH and maybe move Schwarber back to left. But you're taking a real chance with him playing the field, and he's not going to get hurt again. It seems like that's kind of soon to rush him back into play in the field. I think you're much better off like easing him back into things. But I guess the Phillies are satisfied that he's healthy enough to do it. I wouldn't do it, but I guess they know, obviously know better than I do.
Well, the latest report is that Harper's next visit with the doctors is next week. And if apparently there's this issue with him in sliding. And if like he hits his arm wrong on the ground sliding, that it could give him a setback. So apparently he has to be cleared to run the base paths before he can actually even do anything else.
I got you. Can I make one quick point about the Phillies? My grandsons went to a Phillies game on Saturday, I believe it was, and I just want to credit them and Major League Baseball for these new speed up rules are tremendous for kids like that. I mean, I took them to a couple games in the last couple of years, and they were done by the sixth inning, and it was 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours on Saturday, they were already headed into the parking lot, and they sat through the whole game, loved it, had a great time, and I'm really glad that baseball did this. So they're not going to lose a generation of fans, I don't think, if they keep it up this way.
I'm glad you said that, because I've been telling people for a while that sports like baseball, it's not about the diehard fans. The diehard fans are always going to be there. You got to get the casual fan back into paying attention to the game.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like the playoffs and World Series, you were going to get the casual people, but yeah, for the day-to-day grind of the season, yeah, I mean, you can't expect anybody that's a casual fan to sit there for 3 hours, whether it's at the ballpark or on TV, and watch an entire game. That's just unrealistic. So yeah, especially kids, their attention span being what it is. So yeah, they definitely did the right thing here.
By the way, for whatever it's worth, I know it's very early in the season, but the Phillies are top 5 in home attendance so far this year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Very good.
Yeah, they're averaging 39,000 fans a game.
Just keep having those dollar dog nights. You'll get it.
So what do you think is more the factor, the dollar dog night or the faster game is bringing people back?
Yeah, I mean, isn't their prices are significantly higher now, aren't they, than they were last year, or no?
It's always high. I mean,
oh, I gotcha.
I mean, I remember I went to a game last year with a friend, and they were telling me about how much it costs just to park, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, yeah, it's ridiculous. It is. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
$40, $30, whatever. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is.
I might not be remembering this correctly. I think you and I talked about last year about how it felt like people were choosing going to the Shore than going to a Phillies game last year.
Yeah, it might be cheaper to come down to Wildwood or Cape May. That's true.
I mean, if you believe the local businesses, they said that last year was the best summer they had since 2018. So
yeah, that's true.
And a lot of businesses, are people I've talked to, they've been saying we expect this year to be as good, if not better than last year, which is wild to even think about. The amount of people who came down last weekend. I mean, that's right, last year. I mean, I was driving around just last weekend, and the amount of people who were coming down to the Shore on a random weekend.
Josh, Cape May has been packed for the last month and a half. It's just every weekend, people just flocking to restaurants, bars, shore houses, whatever. I mean, it's really, it's been amazing to see. I mean, I grew up in an era where the streets, they rolled up the streets after Labor Day and turned off the traffic lights and the meters and everything else. So yeah, it's definitely a different time now, but it's good to see. I'm glad for the business owners that they're getting the early positive returns so far.
I mean, I know that my generation is younger, but the joke was when we lived in Sea Isle, it was the idea was you could sleep in the middle of Landis Avenue in December. You know what I mean? That was the joke when I was a kid, and it's now it's nah. It's you got people hustling and bustling around all the towns, and like you said, you got to be happy to see it for the local business owners. I mean, between Sandy a decade ago and then COVID a couple of years ago, a lot of these businesses took a lot of gut shots.
Oh yeah,
and it was like, now you're seeing them, the ones who were able to survive, basically being rewarded for it.
Yeah, it's nice to see them on the rebound. That's true. Yep, definitely.
And of course, you're fine with Cape May being packed because you ride your bike everywhere anyway.
This is true. the one gripe I have, though, is that I don't understand why they turned their meters back on, the parking meters back on in April 1st. It was always May 1st, always was. And I don't know what their point was to turn them on a month early, but
greed.
Yeah, I guess more money. Yeah. Money rules. Obviously, they had to find a way to help pay for those arches on the boardwalk that they're building.
I mean, I know Seattle and Ocean City, they have not turned the meters on yet at all. So
good for them.
I don't know. Now, I don't know when they're turning the meters on. I can't speak to that. I haven't seen any news about that, but I know that, because I go for my walks on the boardwalks at night, and they don't have any of the meters on in Sea Isle or so Sea Isle, Ocean City, and then I was in Stone Harbor a couple weeks ago. They didn't have the meters there either. So Avalon, I've only driven through Avalon, so I haven't actually, I didn't actually make it down to the Avalon boardwalk yet. So
okay, very good.
But yeah, I'll get there eventually. But you know how it is. I mean, South Jersey weather, it's hot, it's cold, it's up, it's down. I mean, I was on the Ocean City boardwalk last week. I felt so bad. There's this one business open on the Ocean City boardwalk, and it's like 50 degrees outside. It's like barely warm enough for you to be out and about doing things on the boardwalk. And this poor guy is up there like trying to sell off his leftover pretzels.
Gosh.
The poor guy, I walked up there. He's like, I'll give you a discount on the pretzels because I'm trying to get rid of them. And there's nobody up here.
Instead of Speaking of that, you got $1 pretzel there, right?
Well, it's National Pretzel Day. Apparently, there's a couple of pretzel places in the area that are giving free pretzels today.
No, I'll have to seek them out then. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that works. Though. I saw it online, and I was kind of like, that sounds cool. But then I thought about it. I was like, am I really gonna get around to a pretzel place today? Like,
right. That's true. Yeah, good point.
It's like, it's a random Wednesday in April. Like, who decided Wednesday in April was pretzel day? It wasn't me.
True. Yeah, I'm with you.
He's Dave Weinberg on a Weinberg Wednesday at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. Extra point columns over at 973ESPN.com. Dave, go enjoy Jimmy Butler dropping another 50 tonight.
All right, Josh. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it as always. Talk to you next week.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to the text board on the other side. 609-403-0973 is the text board. And your DMs in the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle. Speaking of the NBA playoffs tonight, Warriors-Kings coverage begins at 9:30 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Hey guys, it's Mike Gill from the Sports Bash. Stop on out this Saturday from 11:30 to 12:30. I'll be sampling Redemption Whiskey and White Claw Vodka at Joe Canals on Fire Road in EHD. I'll have 2 pair of tickets to the Bamboozle Festival at Bader Field next weekend show. That's this Saturday from 11:30 to 12:30. I'll be over at Joe Canals, Fire Road in Egg Harbor Township. That's this Saturday, 11:30 to 12:30. Joe Canals, Fire Road, EHD.
Hey, take me out of my old car. Get me out of this heap. Approve my credit and cut me some slack. I need a dealer that's watching my back. I gotta make sure it's a great deal. All I have down is my trade. Cause I need a great deal on a brand new car.
Stuck in a loaner lease? Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released. With 0 down and 2.9% financing for 48 months or no payments for 90 days. On every 2023 Kia Forte at Soul in stock. Have a job clearing $350 per week? Matt Blatt Kia wants to recruit you today. So bring any trade to Matt Blatt Kia and drive home in a brand new Kia with peace of mind. Matt Blatt Kia's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all qualified. 2778 per thousand finance. Go to mattblattkia.com for complete details or call 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 4/30/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Could you use some extra help meeting basic needs? Like putting food on the table or paying the rent? Keeping your home warm and the lights on? Buying new shoes for growing feet? Or help with medical needs? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. It's money you can use to help pay for basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, or medical needs. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability, or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to learn more about SSI and start the application process today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-658-4848. 800-658-4848. That's 800-658-4848.
Progressive presents Precious Moments.
Yeah, I caught my first fish, Dad!
Great job, buddy. He's a beauty.
Thanks for taking me fishing. Love you, Dad.
I love you too, son.
The exchange you just heard didn't actually happen, but it could. Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive, and you could use the savings to make sure the boat's always ready for those magical father-son moments. Who knows, maybe someday he'll actually like fishing. So keep the dream alive and the savings coming with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
If you have certain chronic conditions, such as heart disease,
asthma,
diabetes, and you're 19 years of age or older, 52,
36,
42, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm going to ask my doctor
about getting vaccinated.
with Prevnar 20.
O'Reilly!
Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the best Superstart battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly! Auto Parts.
Advertisement sponsored by Allied Injury Group, not available in all states. This important message from Allied Injury Group reminds you that if you or someone you love was injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, you deserve financial compensation for your medical expenses, lost wages, pain, and suffering. Don't rely on insurance companies to look out for you. If you haven't spoken to an attorney, call our legal experts now. Work accident, truck accident, collision with an uninsured driver, or a slip and fall. Allied Injury Group has helped clients win hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. They're available 24/7 to take your call and fight for you. Remember, if you or someone you love suffered injuries in an accident that wasn't your fault, like being struck by a drunk driver, a collision with an 18-wheeler, were a victim of workplace negligence or more, get the financial compensation you deserve. Call Allied Injury Group for a free consultation now.
Call 800-781-1815. That's 800-781-1815. Again, 800-781-1815.
Your next BMW is closer than you think at BMW of Atlantic City. Take advantage of limited time offers on our entire lineup of new BMW models, like a new 2023 BMW X3 xDrive 30i lease for $599 a month for 36 months.
Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar. Visit BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think, located in Egg Harbor Township and online at bmwatlanticcity.com. For more details, call us toll free at 609-316.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
By the way, shout out to the texter. They didn't leave their name, but they said that most places are starting the meters on May 1st. So, for those who didn't hear, Dave Weinberg, I was talking about that. In Cape May, they started the meters early this year. But according to this texter who didn't leave their name, I'll let them credit. But apparently, a lot of people, the meters for them don't start in towns like Seattle, Ocean City, and others until May 1st. That's good information to have. You know, I've been driving around. You know, for those who don't know, one of my favorite things to do is, you know, if I get a night where, you know, the Sixers aren't playing or, you know, tomorrow's going to play. And, you know, you got to be locked in for that. But, you know, a night like tonight, like if I can, I would like to try to get out to the boardwalk at some point, go for a walk, unplug from the internet and the phone and everything, and just kind of get a leisurely walk around, you know, get some fresh air after being inside these four walls all day and night. But, you know, when the meters aren't on, your strategy for parking is very different than when they are on. When they are on, gotta get a little more creative. You know, if you lived at the shore like I have, you know, most of my time living in South Jersey, I've lived in either Seattle or Ocean City. So, you know, when you live on the islands for the amount of time that I did, you know, everyone who knows, if you live on any of the islands of Cape May or Atlantic County, you know, you just get used to driving around and looking for parking because you refuse to pay the meters. You leave that to the people who are the vacationers coming to town. You don't want to be involved in that mess. You know, there's that attitude for those of us who live on the islands are like, you know, I remember when I was younger, people used to say, I pay for enough in taxes. I don't need to pay for the meters too. But looks like most of the meters do start May 1st. I mentioned, so Matt in Delaware had a very interesting point he brought up a little bit earlier at 609-403-0973. Matt in Delaware says, Josh, I know a lot of people have NBA TV, but it's a shame that 2 games tonight you can only watch on NBA TV. Just a buzzkill for basketball fans. Matt in Delaware. It's a catch-22, Matt in Delaware, because on one hand, you're right. A lot of people nowadays have NBA TV, but it does feel like a little bit of a buzzkill. Like you're kicking a playoff game to a channel that literally is only for basketball people. You know what I mean? Like, I know ESPN right now has got a lot of NHL games on this week, so maybe that's part of the problem that, you know, ESPN doesn't have a lot of playoff games anymore in the first round. But hey, you know, who knows what the future is? If I could just hit on this really quick, if you guys could humor me out there for a moment, because Matt and Delaware brings up an interesting point, because, you know, there's a new TV agreement coming up for the NBA, and there's a lot of questions about what's going to go on with that. You know, ESPN is owned by Disney. Disney is cutting 7,000 jobs across all of their, you know, their theme parks and their media platforms and stuff. How is that going to impact their negotiations with the NBA? Do they pay the same? Do they pay less? Do they try to pay more? You look at an organization like TNT, right? Turner Sports is owned by the four-headed monster now known as Warner Brothers, Discovery, Turner. It's all one massive mess. That's why they're changing HBO Max to just Max. We're going to have everything on one platform. Well, it is the people who are now running Turner Sports / Warner Brothers / Discovery. Are they going to be interested in giving the NBA billions of dollars? The regional sports networks are having problems in different parts of the country. Some of them had to file for bankruptcy. Does the NBA have to change their entire distribution plan? You know, are we getting to an age where if you're in a market that's not Philadelphia with NBC Sports Philadelphia, are you going to have to change how you go about watching your team's games? Because outside of the NBC Sports networks in, was it Philadelphia, Boston, San Francisco, I think it's also Chicago, I forget the town that they're in, Washington is the other one. outside of those cities, a lot of regional sports networks are dying. They're running financially in big problems. So how is that going to affect the NBA's plans moving forward? Does NBA TV become more of a platform for the NBA? Do we get more games being streamed down the road? Is ESPN and Turner going to pony up the money? Because ESPN right now, for those who don't know, ESPN is already locked into the NHL, the UFC, and college football and the NFL with major money right now. They adjusted their deal with baseball to get some more games for baseball. So how does the NBA fit into that? Does the NBA stay a prominent presence on ESPN and ABC moving forward, or does NBC Sports come in and swoop in, steal it back, and we get round ball rock again? Just some thoughts for your Wednesday night. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
It's the 2023 NFL Draft, exclusively on 97.3 ESPN. The Philadelphia Eagles have 2 picks in the first round in this year's NFL Draft, and you can listen to see how it all plays out. Round 1 coverage begins tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's the 2023 NFL Draft, and it's only on South Jersey's exclusive radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.